Apple has released iOS 18.3.1, along with a warning to update your iPhone now. That's because iOS 18.3.1 is an emergency patch that fixes a single security issue that's already being used in real-life attacks. Apple doesn't give much detail about what's fixed in iOS 18.3.1 to give iPhone users as much time as possible to update before more attackers can get hold of the details. But what we do know is, the iOS 18.3.1 update fixes a flaw in accessibility where a physical attack may disable USB restricted mode on a locked device. Apple is aware of a report that this issue may have been exploited in an extremely sophisticated attack against specific targeted individuals, the iPhone maker said. iOS 18.3.1, the targeted attack. As security researcher Josh Long writes, Apple's USB restricted mode is a security feature added in iOS the 1st of April 11, included in all later versions of iOS and iPadOS. USB restricted mode prevents locked devices from leaking data to any accessories connected to the USB-C or Lightning port. Long says, this means that for any accessory that does more than charging to work with your iPhone or iPad, the device needs to be unlocked at the time you connect it. This helps prevent, for example, hacker tools such as Grayshift's key from being able to break into a locked device, Long says. Such hacker tools are mostly available to government and law enforcement agencies, but it's possible for them to fall into the wrong hands. The nature of this attack is further backed up by the fact that the vulnerability was reported by the Citizen Lab, an organization that investigates digital espionage against civil society. It was clear iOS 18.3.1 was coming. The update had been leaked last week, but no one knew what it contained. At the time, I speculated that it could include emergency security fixes, and it looks like I was right. Apple only released iOS 18.3 at the end of Jan, again illustrating the emergency nature of this iPhone upgrade. But the content of these updates remains a mystery. On its support page, the iPhone maker says each upgrade, Apple only ever fully patches the latest macOS version. Currently, macOS Sequoia, says Long, older macOS versions only get a subset of those patches and remain vulnerable. Therefore, staying on the latest macOS version is critically important for maintaining your security and privacy, he advises. It's wise to back up before updating, Long says. Whenever you're preparing to update macOS, iOS, or iPadOS, it's a good idea to always back up your data before installing any updates. This gives you a restore point if something does not go as planned. Why you should update now though iOS the 1st of March 18. The attack fixed in iOS 18.3.1 was highly targeted, probably affecting high-profile people such as journalists, dissidents, some businesses, and government officials. If you fit into this group, update right now. Given that the flaw is already being used in attacks, it's essential that all iOS users immediately update to iOS 18.3.1. Adam Boynton, Senior Security Strategy Manager EMEA at Jamf. By taking advantage of this flaw, an attacker could obtain full admin access to the device, enabling them to impersonate the owner and execute any software on their behalf, he warns. However, according to Apple's advisory, this is not a remotely executable vulnerability, which makes it more difficult to actually perform the attack as you would have to be physically with the iPhone. Boynton says, the attacker would most likely need physical control of the user's device to disable USB restricted mode on a locked device. As this is a sophisticated, physical attack, it is likely to target select high-value individuals. Even so, Boynton strongly recommends that all users update their Apple devices to iOS 18.3.1. Keeping devices up to date with the latest patches is one of the most effective ways to safeguard against attackers. Boynton says, Apple's iOS 18.3.1 is available for the iPhone XS and later, iPad Pro 13-inch, iPad Pro 12.9-inch 3rd generation and later, iPad Pro 11-inch 1st generation and later, iPad Air 3rd generation and later, iPad 7th generation and later, and iPad Mini 5th generation and later. If you have one of these devices, you should update now to protect your iPhone or iPad from attacks. Apple issued iOS 18.3.1 alongside iPadOS 17.7.5, but this is only available for the iPad Pro 12.9-inch, 2nd generation, iPad Pro 10.5-inch, and iPad 6th generation. There is no iPhone update for older iPhones, which could be because they are not impacted, but as far as I am aware, Apple is not updating iOS 17. For this who simply want to choose to stay on the older operating system, with the flaw fixed in iOS 18.3.1, being used in real-life attacks. It's essential that you update your iPhone now to keep it safe. You know what to do. Go to your settings greater than software. Update and upgrade your iPhone to iOS 18.3.1.